Oh, what's up? What's up? What's going on, guys? Rob joining in. Hopefully, you guys had a good Thanksgiving. It's been a long few weeks for me. Finally home. Did some racing all over. We were in Wisconsin, then Alabama, then Florida. So you guys know the normal routine. We're gonna wait here for a few moments and then kind of start our normal thing. For those who are currently in here, let me know if the audio is all good. Also, for those who are also in here, if you guys can share this to your friends, tag some of your friends, only helps out my Facebook and YouTube channel out to reach as many people that are on the team or people that are interested in getting into RC, just to help them out as much as possible. Got Dave in here, Eric. What's going on, guys? Alan, Jack, Jacob, Tom. Sweet. Thank you, guys. So, I guess as far as the checklist goes, we're going to be talking about kind of the first few events that we were just at. My first one was being the team associated race at Trackside Hobbies. Jamie and his family do a great job of putting on a good show. It was a sold out event. I think there was like 160 drivers, like some 300 and something entries, I believe, there. So it's been a sold out event for the last since forever ago. Um, we were able to get the win in 4-wheel drive. It was cool that Aiden on 2-wheel drive got the big W. The settings that we were kind of running at Masters of Dirt and kind of worked on towards for the team associated race, given that it's a much smaller track. The grip wasn't probably nearly as high at the team associated race as it was at Masters of Dirt. But for the most part, the car settings and the setup, I thought it was pretty similar. Other than Masters of Dirt, we were running the big batteries in the car. So my 4-wheel drive at the team associated race had just the small battery in there, which we'll kind of talk about some setups with that stuff. But for those who are already currently in here, if you have any questions throughout the video, don't hesitate to ask. All once I'm done kind of chattering your ears off, I will go through, answer some questions, and go from there. So Chris Raymond's in the house. What's going on, boss? Rick, appreciate you guys tuning in. So, well, cool. Well, some of the main things that I want to talk about was some of the 4-wheel drive B74.2 stuff. Actually, it was perfect timing. Got a notification last night, but some of the main pieces to the newer front end stuff with the Goldwing style arms is I've been running 8-degree caster blocks. This is something that's been out of stock forever now at Associated, so they just got them back in stock. Been running 8-degree caster blocks on the 4-wheel drive. One of the things also that I wanted to like add to why I'm running 8-degree caster blocks is the Goldwing arms. In my opinion, the way the car's been driving, it kind of throws more weight around in the car front to back. Given that we are running max kickup, so all the way up in the A and all the way down in the B, um, that adds a lot more weight transfer as well. But for whatever reason, on high grip, it just is so much easier to drive. So when you like get into the front end, it doesn't like dive on the front and get like super edgy off center. Um, so I found it was a really, really, really good balance when running the A-to-read caster blocks on the four-wheel drive, just to help with some of the sharpness feel. It really feels similar to like the two-wheel drive. It's not, in my opinion, edgy at all. It just feels that you have more usable steering wheel steering versus kind of using a lot of wheel. And sometimes with the four-wheel drive, when you're using a lot of wheel input, it can get the car kind of all shaken up. So there's definitely a fine balance. There's, obviously there's an oversteer, there's an understeer kind of category. But when you start to use a lot more steering wheel on the radio to get the car to work, sometimes when you're feeding the wheel and trying to jack on the steering wheel, it really kind of can mess up like the rear end traction, the front end traction. So um, the settings that I've been running on the four-wheel drive with the A3 caster blocks has really helped that sort of feel or issues that maybe have happened in the past. And this is all changing because of the new front end stuff with the four-wheel drive being a Gullwing style arm, and that the car is much lighter with the gearboxes. So I'm hoping to probably after the hobby action race, get a setup sheet out for the team associated race, get something out for hobby action. It's kind of two different style tracks. Um, for the most part, it was pretty awesome to drive at the team associated race. My stuff at the Masters of Dirt was really, really good. Um, it was cool that we were able to work off some other people's setups. I know on carpet, we've been also running A3 caster blocks, or at least I have been, for this the front steering feel. Kind of work our way, take off the body here. So, also too, the differential package that I'm running, um, with the kind of plastic LTC gears. I'm running plastic LTC front and rear, but at the team associated race, I switched to the HTC plastic differential set because of the front triple. It was so crazy. You needed so much like rip off the get go to just clear this triple. And going from the LTC, I was just kind of struggling just clearing the jump. And then as soon as I switched to HTC center diff, center differential gears, it popped over so much easier. So it's weird. I think from what I've been seeing is especially for stock, it might be really worthy of running the HTC style center diff um, for dirt racing and running the LTC gears front and rear. I know a few team drivers don't really seem to like the LTC gears front and rear. I'm not really sure. In my opinion, when we did all the testing, it just seems like it corners more fluidly. You don't have to nearly have um, as much effort to get the car to turn. So I like when the car does most of the work, and I just kind of drive smoothly and just punch it, turn, and go from there. So for those who are running stock and four-wheel drive, highly recommend running the HTC style differential on the center, and then the LTC front and rear. I have 500 in the center, and then in the front and rear, I've been bouncing back and forth. My normal differential oil package is 10 and 7, and then I recently switched to 15, 10. So that is currently what I've been running on that part. The other key things that I have as far as the four-wheel drive setup is I majority have all the carbon parts possible that you can put on. So I have the front and rear arms carbon, the center splines are the carbon material, along with the top plates on the center splines are the 2 millimeter straight cut. plates. Working towards the back end, which is something that we did specifically at the team associated race. Masters of Dirt, I ran diff height 0 front and rear, but at the team associated race, I ran the rear diff at this says +1 in the rear. To me, I just thought it helped the car carry more speed on power. Um, for whatever reason, I wish I would have tried it at Masters of Dirt, but that was something that Brent helped us out with at the associated race. I believe Aiden tried it and thought it was really good. So I ended up trying it. So +1 diff height in the rear with the +1 diff height on the pinion. You have to do that to make it all fit and work. To that change, the axle height I'm running is the +2 in the rear of 4-wheel, but also in the middle height position on the tower. This is something that is not something common that we've done in the past, but as of recently running a ton of carpet and kind of figuring out some key um, roll center adjustments changes, I've been really experimenting it a lot with it on dirt, especially at the team associated race, and I thought going instantly to middle with the +2 axle height was a huge combo. So when you're running the axle height, if you run the axle height 1 or below, you can get away with it running down on the tower, but as soon as you go above 1, and even at that 1 range, it's definitely possible to run it middle on the tower. So I don't have the rear factory T-mounts because I'm not running it. You can't achieve the middle height on the tower with the factory T-mounts. If you want to go below that, then that's something for sure. So if you're running 0 axle height on the hub, then for sure running it down on the tower or even running the factory T-mounts with 3 or 4 millimeters would get you that roll center back to like quote unquote 0. Or else the rear end is just too stiff. So when raising the axle heights, it's raising the roll center, which makes it stiffer. And then when you raise this up a spot, that's lowering the roll center to bring back the balance, but you're just doing it in 2 different style spots. So definitely check out the rear end package. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how it works at Hobby Action for the stability and traction. But the other parts of the setup stuff that we've been running is back to the 2-wheel drive stuff is running the 2.5 millimeter pistons. So I've been running 1.7s in the front and 1.8s in the back. I have, this says 35 weight in the front and 27 in the back. I've completely switched over to all my cars, even dirt, carpet, the 2.5 millimeter pistons. To me, it makes it have a better initial feel driving around the track. I think the car already lands really good with the thin pistons, but that's not really why I'm running them the thicks. I think it's just a combo package of how the car reacts off center. So the car is a little bit more responsive when running the thicker pistons because it's just a little bit more pack. So the kits come with the thin pistons. I'm currently running thick in both 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. So for the most part, I think you can kind of make it happen with either of the packages, thin or thick. So we have some more people tuning in. We're just kind of talking a little bit about the 4-wheel drive package setup, talking about roll centers and stuff. So if you guys have any questions regarding the 4-wheel drive stuff, we're going to be talking about this for a few more moments. So it's cool to see everyone tuning in here. We have Kevin tuning in, Skylar, Eric, Matt, Bruce, Jamie. What's up, Doug? See you here in a few days. Actually, this weekend is the J Concepts finals at INS. So I'll be hanging out with Dustin Evans, Cole Tollard, and Kurt Wenger for the AE team. Obviously, we still got a lot of people joining in. I think the Testmans are coming, Mayfield, Cavallari. So it should be pretty fun. Dun, dun, dun. So, bum, 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 bum. Looking at some questions here. So yeah, the four-wheel drive stuff. Um, One last thing, I was kind of briefly got off the topic with the front end. Recently, I've been running the shocks leaned into the middle hole on the shock tower with the one step stiffer spring. For me, when running the shocks leaned in, it always feels like the car kind of gets on the nose a little bit quicker, but then the stiffer spring kind of helps it keep the nose up. It just depends on how much 180 steering you need. If you feel like the car is kind of edgy, my go-to package is kind of leading the shocks out with the one step softer front spring. Yellow would be stock, and then if you're kind of needing more steering to get the car in and out of sections quicker, um, then running the shocks leaned in with red seems to be kind of my more baseline the last couple times I've been running. Going through some questions. Um, Mike is asking or saying his car is kind of over rotating. Um, he has kind of 320. In my opinion, when you run a lighter center diff, the car rotates, over rotates off power, throws more weight to the front, and becomes a little more edgier. So that's why I've always ran 500 in the center. Would highly recommend probably going up. Looking at some questions here. Grip or 10K rear, 15K front for carpet. My carpet car has 30, or sorry, 50 in the front and 50 in the rear. My carpet four-wheel drive at the last Florida race, which is pretty nuts. I had two gear, 5 or 50K. So this is a great question from Rick. Now that the J Concepts has released the Smoothie Twos for trucks, have you tried the sidewall band and them? I imagine the sidewall band being taller, the truck tire, the sidewall bands might be amazing on there. Yes, this is something that we are still kind of doing in Stadium Truck. Given that the Smoothie Twos are much smaller diameter, you have to kind of cut um, a little bit of chunk meat out of the band and then re-glue it back. I believe on the J Concept video I mentioned that, so just kind of letting you guys know, the truck tires are plain and simple, probably the best thing since sliced bread for Stadium Truck. That made that class so much better to drive, easier to drive. The tires last so much longer; they don't air bubble. So definitely, if you're into Stadium Truck, the 4x4 stadium, the mini truggies, it's like not even a question. So get your hands on the set, try it out. You won't regret it. So, good question. What kind of steering upgrades on the B6.4 do I recommend or suggest? For me, I've always liked the plastic steering rack and the aluminum bell cranks. For me, that's been the best steering feel. It's the most consistent, forgiving to drive. If you want it to be if it's you feel like you have too much steering, you can run all plastic steering rack and bell cranks. But if you want like the maximum steering, running all aluminum bell crank steering and steering rack is the most steering. So for me, since the servo bolts directly to the bell cranks, that's like the most direct engagement to the steering rack. And then as the rack is flexing through the throw, that gives a little bit of forgiveness. But for me, I want the steering servo to have direct contact with an aluminum bell crank. and then the energy from the bell cranks going through the steering rack for the feedback. That's just kind of my initial mindset of how I would think it would work. Um, but all aluminum is the most aggressive, all plastic is the least. So, let's see what else we got here. Um, just looking at some questions rolling in here. Thank you guys for tuning in. So this is a good question. How do I decide between running 2 gear versus 4 gear? To me, running 2 gear is just a little bit less friction. It's not necessarily a right or wrong. Recently, I've been wanting to go back and try the 4 gear package. I think sometimes more friction can help with more drive out of a corner, which is something on carpet that we've been kind of looking at. On dirt, like my dirt 4-wheel drive, just to clear the air, I have 4 gears front, center, and rear. There's no 2 gear. My carpet car is the only one that I have the 2 gear style option. To be honest, I'm not really sure why I do, but I do. Um, it's just something that we always had thought that it was just a little bit less friction, which means more rotation, is the general thought. But that's not always. There's not always the right and wrong. It's just trial and error. So yeah, as you can see, I have the chrome shock shafts on my car. I just built this from the kit. I haven't really had much time, to be quite honest with you guys, about building some Kashima shocks. My 4-wheel drive from the Nationals I won this year has the chrome shock shafts, and everyone was kind of freaking out that I didn't have Kashima. Probably for the beginning of the year, once I get a little bit of time to some prep and relax, I'll probably put all the Kashima stuff on my car, as I do think it looks a little bit cooler. It has a little bit less friction, so it's a little bit freer, more plush. So it's not night or day difference, but it is something for sure. Yeah, so the setup for the track side for my 4-wheel drive, I'm gonna be working on it um, at the end of the weekend. Next week, we'll kind of go through with Brent and kind of get some new setup sheets out. I've been gone for 3 weeks, so I apologize. It's been absolute crazy chaos of races going on. So we have a geometry question here. When you adjust axle and hub height, do you adjust the inner busted height to keep it the same geometry? Yes, that's typically the idea when adjusting it. Sometimes when you raise your hub here, you kind of want to lower the ball stud here. So as you can see, since I had +2 axle height on the 4-wheel drive, I have a 1 millimeter washer. So technically 3 is stock or kit, and then I added or just took out 2 millimeters, did the 1 mil washer for the height. Um, so yeah, for the most part, I've been running emulsion. This is switching over to 8 scale, but I have been running emulsion a lot on my both Truggy and e-buggy and nitro buggy. To me, it's just the most plush to drive. Yeah, so I do run external limiters on my carpet cars and some on my dirt cars. We did a up travel and down travel video with J Concepts about the RM2 shock limiting spacers. So if you want to learn a little bit about that and how much I'm running, go check out the video at J Concepts YouTube page or Facebook page. Go check out the kind of setup that we were running there. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. So recently on the B6.4, I've been running the blue front spring. I guess we can kind of switch over to two-wheel drive now. Um, I've been running the blue front spring, but with middle positioning on the tower. And then in the rear, I've been running the 12 millimeter gray rear spring, which is the high frequency style springs that we've offer on for the two-wheel drive stuff. Well, that's what I'll start with at SDRC, and that's what I've been kind of running everywhere. Yes, I've been running a lightweight body F2 on my two-wheel drive and F2 on the four-wheel drive. um, Still some people tuning in here. Anyhow, yeah, so working towards the two-wheel drive package stuff. Some of the I feel like the new settings we've been kind of playing with mostly. I've talked briefly for a good amount on the last video was the front steering pieces. We've been running the three trailing steering blocks. This is something that I feel like has really changed how the car actually drives in and out of the corners. It was kind of first ran on carpet. I ran it in Minnesota and kind of learned what I learned there and took it to Masters of Dirt. That seemed to be a pretty big improvement with speed. Um, and then kind of took that to Trackside Hobbies. My stuff there, I think I finished fourth. My stuff definitely was better than a fourth place, but I had some opportunities in qualifying that just crashed. But I know Aiden ran the three trailing and kind of took that stuff, went to Florida for the FCC race, and it was really good there as well. So for those who haven't tried it yet, it's the three trailing steering blocks. When you do that, you kind of switch the shim from behind to in front. This way, because when you run three trailing, it makes the wheelbase longer, and then the shim brings it back to the normal wheelbase. So if you're looking for something to tune or try, definitely try the three trailing. In my opinion, it is the way to the future, so to speak. Looking at that, there might be some clearance problems on the arm right here when doing that. The ball stick kind of may hit, so you may have to just make sure that it gets full steering throw at full droop. So we have a question from Adam Peters here. He's asking kind of what did it change, or how did the feeling change with the steering? In my opinion, it kind of did something similar to the A3 caster blocks for four-wheel drive. It kind of made it feel more crisp on the steering wheel. I didn't have to use as much steering throw on the wheel to get the car to steer. I know recently our car's been so like easy to drive that it's consistent but not very fast. I know Dakota and those guys have been going really fast with their stuff and kind of looking for some things to kind of really keep up. And we've noticed that they've also been running three trailing. So it's just kind of crazy how things just kind of circle around. The car doesn't throw nearly as much weight to the rear end when doing that as well. So kind of keeps the rear end a little bit more rigid and kind of keeps the front end a little bit up under acceleration. The other part that I've been running is the 0.5 axle height shims and 2 millimeters here for the roll centers. For the most part, um, oh, rear axle height. This is something that since the grip these days have been so high, we've been really playing with the roll center, running 3 axle height. I've been running 3 axle height with 1 millimeter here, with the factory T mount with 1 millimeter. That seems to be the best overall balance for the high grip tracks that we've been racing at. I've been running 2-degree anti-squat, so up and in, 75 mil arms up and in on the C block and middle row in on the, I don't know if you can see it, D block. So for the most part, that's really about it for the two-wheel drive. What's up, Lance? Thanks for tuning in. Carlos, checking in. What's up, boss? Nice meeting you at the Florida race. Let's see what else we got. So for the most part, that was basically the first event, the trackside race. Kind of going into some 8 scale running the AMS. I guess if you guys have any questions regarding the 10 scale stuff, don't hesitate to ask. I'm just kind of talking about the event stuff that we've been doing or I've been doing. So we attended the AMS. Obviously the entries were capped at like 320. So visually, when you're there, it was not as much people, but the racing itself went really good. Other than in the Nitro Buggy main and warm up, I had broke my car. On one of the jumps, it just pulled the arm out from the inner hinge pin. So we were able to kind of fix it, but didn't fix it fully. The shock was also bent, and as soon as I threw my car back out there, it was basically dragging on the front because it was stuck on the nose. But for the most part, I was pretty happy how things were going. We were doing a lot of tuning. I know the last time I did a live video, we were talking about the differentials. So I've been pretty sold on the LTC gears front and rear, the HTC center. It just seems like that makes the car easier and plusher to drive. I think it has more traction. The grip was high and low there, so I saw a lot of different conditions. I ran 15K in the front of my Nitro Buggy. I ran 10K in the center, and I ran 10K in the rear. If I were to go back, I probably would have tried 15K in the rear just to get a little more on-power steering. But for the most part, it was pretty awesome to drive. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to really do much, but was able to salvage a top 10 run. People also had some flame outs and some breakages. So I basically lost like the first 3 minutes of the race, which was like 9 laps down, or 6 laps down. And then I kind of worked my way back up to 10th. So the e-buggy was really, really good. I also ran LTC gears on the e-buggy, front and rear, and then also in Truggy, I ran front and rear LTC gears. Truggy, I ran 20 front and 10 rear. But this past weekend at the US Open, I switched to 15 rear for more on-power steering, and it was like night and day better. So that was really, really, really awesome about that. What else do we have? Yeah, I will be getting some more setup sheets for the carpet. We have some, there's a lot of checklists that I will need to go through and get some setup sheets out for you guys. I apologize. It's been absolutely chaos the last few weeks. I was looking at, thinking if I had my Nitro cars with me, but I forgot they're in my race trailer. What else? Oh, the new Razor Wing for Nitro Buggy. That's what I've been running. I ran the whole weekend at AMS. I know Mayfield also ran it. I believe Dakota as well. I ran it at the U.S. Open. It was outdoor track. My cars jumped Big Triple really nicely. I know Mayfield and Tanner Denny had it on their cars, but didn't seem to jump very well with that. But my stuff seemed to jump it really, really good. Um, One of the other things, I'm gonna be going to Paris for the weekend after Top Gun, to do some practice and some running. Um, so I'll be able to kind of test to see how the bigger outdoor track is with the Razor Wing. um, for the most part, Nitro Buggy um, was pretty standard setup that I've been running. The one of the things that I've been kind of bouncing back and forth was the inside hole on the arm versus outside hole on the rear arm. At AMS, I switched to the outside hole with a black spring. Seemed to really kind of help the rear end out with stability and on power steering. But some of the outdoor tracks, I seem to be running inside hole in the arm with a heavier spring. I'm looking through some questions here. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask, guys. You gotta give me something to do. Let me see. I'm trying to get the part number before I forget. I want to post it in the chat. Is the A3 caster box um, for the four-wheel drive? Okay, got it here. Part number 92175. So I posted the part number in the comments of the part number for the A3 caster blocks. There. Um. So Chris is asking on the Truggy high grip. Um, I would probably run. Well, like I said, I've been running the LTC gears front and rear, HTC center. So I'd probably run probably 30, 20 for differentials on Truggy for high grip. Hopefully that kind of helps you out there. Going through some of this other questions. My truck, I've been running the buggy shocks. I have also buggy towers on it, but I'm not really able to share exactly how you have to make it work. It's pretty easy if you looked at it and figured it out, but for the most part, the truck shocks and stuff will be just fine. I mean, there's just so much so much going on with the stadium truck. We don't really get to run it a whole lot, so there's not much a huge testing going through. I just basically bolted on the buggy shocks and just see what would happen, and it's been really good. But Dustin beat me at the Masters of Dirt with the box stock car, and um, that was basically it. So yeah, the 12 millimeter springs will fit on the 13 millimeter shocks. The only thing you need is the 12 millimeter spring cups, and then I flip the spring collars upside down, and then it just basically kind of rides on the shock. It's doesn't really hurt or mess up anything. So at FCC on my carpet car, I was running the 12 millimeter yellow rear spring in the back. I was running the Schumacher springs, I think Core RC black spring, but the Core RC springs on jumping and landing, it just wasn't very good. I mean, there was a couple changes that I made for the first round of qualifying that was kind of an impulse change. I went to a longer front link. I changed the rear spring, so I I can't say for sure that the rear spring was definitely worse or better. The front link was probably my biggest help there. Afterwards, um, we were running a lot with some of our team guys. It seemed like I just needed to run the front end a lot softer, which means I should have ran middle hole in the front arm. I felt like running the third hole in the front arm definitely wasn't helping me out, even though that's what I raced with. It's just something that you don't really think about a whole lot when you're out there. But yeah, the way that the weight transfer is in the cars, it just seemed like you just need a more front grip. So on the top right corner, when you're like on power, like the front tires with what I was racing with, the third hole, it was like the shocks were just sprung down and it just was a little edgy off center. And then as it like rolled on the front, it kind of pushed. So having the front tires more loaded longer seemed to be better. So the middle hole in the front arm was a big improvement. I ran a .8 front bar, which definitely helped my cause early on in racing with the third hole in the front. But um, for the most part, um, we'll have to see kind of what happens the next time we really race. I think the next time I'll really race carpet will maybe be NCTS, and then we do the Roar Nationals in a few months into the year. So, Chris, yeah. So we have different internal gears. LTC, which is our old school gear set, it's smaller, and then HTC gear set is the one that comes in the kit. 30, 30, 20 is where I would start if it's high grip. So yeah, I will be doing a setup sheet for FCC, the team associated race. We have a lot of setup sheets we have to do. So yeah, I ran a gear diff on the B6.4 on carpet, but on dirt I don't. And there's only one gear set for two-wheel drive. There's no LTC or HTC. It's just one gear set. Yeah, for the most part, I've been running. If you run the sidewall band, I run gray front foam. and gray rear foam. If you run no sidewall band, I'll run black front foam and gray rear foam for high grip clay tracks. And then if it's like extremely high grip, then maybe running the black rear foam. Black rear foam is really good after you use it. It's been used for the first time, and you can reuse it many, many times. Yeah, Chris, that's a generic. I mean, that's pretty a little on the light side for Truggy. Definitely don't be afraid to go up. Sometimes the center diff it makes it a lot easier to drive when it's a little bit thicker, but yeah, if you're looking for more on power steering, you go up in the rear diff, and if you have too much steering, you can go up in the front diff. It's typically how I like to tune. Mm-mm. Um, what else do we got? So, anyways, yeah, we did FCC, 8-degree caster blocks for carpet for 4-wheel drive. The one of the things we did was go up and center, or sorry, front and rear diff oil, 50K. That was a good help. And then kind of moving on, we did the U.S. Open this past weekend. I was only able to race e-buggy and nitro truggy. Nitro truggy, my stuff was really good all through qualifying. I had a good stuff going in the main, and then lap traffic completely got tangled up with. I was like screaming on the driver's stand and having a meltdown. So ended up actually flaming out, ran out of gas in truggy. But for the most part, it was pretty good. E-buggy, me and Ryan had a really good battle with his new techno stuff. I was able to edge him out on the last lap. My stuff was actually faster than his the whole time, so he he kind of was a little bit more consistent. I had some issues kind of getting through traffic and qualifying, but he drove good in qualifying and yeah, made it happen on the last lap on the corner jump on the back left corner at the U.S. Open, and yeah, took him down. He was he couldn't believe that I was able to pass him there, but it was really cool. I wish the video was a little bit better, but well, we're gonna be battling again this weekend at Hobby Action for the sorry, the finals INS at Hobby Action. So I know there's gonna be a lot of people coming in because some of the world's people might be showing up, some international people. We'll see how that goes. I know Don't know if Larry's gonna be using the misters. I heard, Jake said that they're not quite ready yet, so I haven't really seen them work in action. I got my dirt cars are basically ready to go right off the track from the associated race. I'll probably have to do some of the O-rings for maintenance. Probably sometime, I might do it, a little bit later today over there. I'm gonna be heading out after this video to Hobby Action to help out around the shop if they need it and go get lunch with, some friends. The kind of races coming up for me. Obviously, we're doing the finals here at Hobby Action. Going to be heading out for the Top Gun back-to-back weekends in San Diego. So looking forward to seeing the local guys out there. I'm not sure who else really going out there. I don't know if it's just me from traveling in, but I know Matty G will be fast there. Um, David Battle will be there. So Tom Rennerneck, I'm sure, will be racing. I think it'll be a pretty sweet time. What else do we have? The following weekend after that, I think I travel back home Sunday night, and then probably head back out there Wednesday-ish for some practice and testing at Paris for some 8 skill stuff, just to kind of feel it out how the track is out there in Paris at the dirt track. Um, the other stuff that End of the year. For the most part, that's really about it. I think uh, just kind of getting things kind of organized. I have something new coming for the end of the year, beginning of the year that I will be announcing here soon. Pretty excited for. I'm not gonna really say much, but I'll give you a little sneak peek or a little taste of something. But um, yeah, just pretty awesome for next year, and I'm looking forward to kind of fresh start. Looking forward to getting my parts boxes organized and having some what you can say some I guess some motivation for next year and the nitro stuff, nitro scene and 10 skill scene. We got a lot of big races next year. We have the worlds here in the US. So Team US here at Hobby Action. Looking forward to kind of running a few times at Hobby Action and getting some good notes. We have a good team coming here this weekend for the INS. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty stoked. If you guys have any questions before kind of slowly wrap things up here, um, can't wait to get some breakfast in me. What else we got? Yeah, so the vertical camber links on the B74, the factory T mounts, that's really only for if you're trying to get lower positioning on the inner ball stud. So you can go lower than the lowest hole. Um, that's really about it. It's just lowering basically raising the roll center when you're lowering that ball stud down. So you're able to achieve more settings that way. Currently, I'm running middle on the tower, which you can't get middle with the links, the vertical mounts. Bum, bum, bum. So that's really about it for the four-wheel drive stuff. Chris Green, yeah, I think for diffs for low grip, I would run probably 15, 20, 10. Tyler Hooks is asking, what did I learn from the SR experience at FCC? Kind of realized that I was just an absolute stud. No, I'm kidding. Now we had a good time. I was pitting with Tyler Hooks at FCC. I was pitting with Brandon Foote. Um, I was pitting with Doug. Um, yeah, a lot of good group of guys that we were pitting with. Um, I think for the most part, uh, Tyler got the big W in two-wheel drive stock class. Kind of helped him out with a little bit of the new front end pieces that we've been running. He kind of drove a really good race. He ran a new front tire that we ran, which was really nice. Doug had some good finishes, learned a lot afterwards racing. So I think he'll be back stronger. He'll be coming out for the J Concepts INS here. And yeah, I think it will be really good. Looking forward to having some new people on the team. For next year, we have some new people coming back. Um, I think Tyler's been doing really good with the 10 scale stuff. We have some good stock racers. So so what's going on, boss? And Truggy, I'm running just the kit pistons, 6-hole tapered, 6-hole 1.3s in the front, and then 6-hole in the rear. But 2 of the holes are 1.4, and 4 of the holes are 1.3. I ran 42.37 was my final and best shock package. Adam Peters, yeah. I actually didn't even eat first lunch, so definitely pretty hungry. So hopefully you guys are enjoying your weekend. I'm not sure if you guys are or hopefully going to enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you guys stay out of trouble. I'm not sure if you have anybody going in the chat currently here going to hobby action this weekend, but if you are, comment below. If you are racing this weekend somewhere, let me know where you're going to be at racing. Post a photo in the comments of your car, pit setup, or the track that you're racing at. For the most part, that's really about it. Any last final questions here for you guys? I'll be going through a couple more questions and kind of wrapping some things up. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We had a little over 100 people viewed today. Looking forward to racing this weekend at Hobby Action, seeing how we do. Again, it always helps if you tag a friend or share this to your buddies. Yeah, so good question with the flat arms versus the Goldwing arms. The flat arms just have a little bit more cut, change directions a little bit quicker in the 180s, which is kind of some of the things that I've been tuning with the four-wheel drive because I really like the Goldwing arms high speed. So like I said earlier in the video, I switched to HRV caster blocks to help with the sharpness off steering feel. And then leaning in my front shocks to the middle with the red front spring really helps the 180 steering and the quickness on its feet. So flat arms, you don't really need to run all that. But I do think high speed, it kind of can get a little edgy and hard to drive, where the Goldwing stuff is really smooth and inconsistent. But then the HRV caster blocks, leaning in the shocks, red front spring was a huge package deal for me, getting the car to the next level there. So the HRV caster blocks just got released or got back in stock at Associated. So they're not going to last long because they were out of stock. They've been out of stock for forever. And since that we're all renting them now, I got to order another 2 sets because you never know how fast they're going to go. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Kyle's asking, what carbon parts am I running? My whole two-wheel drive is completely carboned out. So carbon side rails, top deck, steering blocks, caster blocks, rear arms, front arms, the whole shabeel. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you here in about another month for another live video. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the next races. Hopefully, if I don't hear back from you, next live video or see you, I'm sure we'll see you at the next race. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and see you on the next one.